We begin with a story out of Texas, out of Houston, as a man who knows how to take charge and is a manly man who knows how to take charge of situations, decided to take a charge of a situation by shooting a person who had scammed him out of $40. He had parked at a restaurant. A person said that they were a parking attendant, wanted him to pay, but they weren't a parking attendant. They were just a person trying to scam him. And he decided to respond to this scam by shooting the person. So he knows how to take charge. So there we go. Here pictured is a manly man who knows how to take charge of situations when he's being scammed from a parking lot. A 29-year-old man was out on a date with a woman when police say he shot and killed another man who scammed him out of money while posing as a parking attendant. Unsurprisingly, he's been charged with murder for the shooting death of the 46-year-old Elliot Nix, the scammer. Prosecutors say the individual was already out on probation for aggravated assault at the time of the shooting. So apparently, he is no stranger to violence. He is willing to use the violence to get his way, showing us all how I suppose it's done. He has a bond of apparently $200,000 as currently pending. According to investigators, on April the 11th, the couple parked separately at a lot in a place downtown known as Adio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they were parking separately to go to this date. Then they were approached by this man, Nix, who claimed to be a parking attendant and asked for $40 for both cars, $20 a piece. Okay. So then he went to the nearby store and returned with cash before they went to the Rodeo Goat, which is apparently the restaurant they were going to, which was located across the street. Then once they got there, a waiter who was there said that they knew that this scam was happening. So apparently they were aware of this, and for whatever reason, the police hadn't caught up to it or whatever. So the waiter said, hey, that guy over there who you paid for parking, he's not a parking attendant. He's just a guy who is scamming people out of money. Pay $20 to pay this lot, but it's not my lot. So they alerted him. The employees of the various places then watched him sprint to his car, grab a pistol, and chase after the man who had engaged in this fraud. He then fatally shot Nix and left his body on the side of the road. He then returned the gun to the car and then returned to his date at the burger restaurant. So he was not going to let this incident dissuade him in any way, man. He wanted to make sure that he was going to continue his date and maybe get lucky. Well, it's nice to know that nothing can throw this man off. He is a man on a mission to get a date, a man on a mission not to get defrauded, I guess. So he returned to his car, then to the burger restaurant. She knows that he was upset. He went to the person allegedly scammed them, but they went to have dinner. And at some point, the defendant said he was uncomfortable with the restaurant and they left. So they didn't want to stay at that restaurant anymore. Apparently, his date didn't realize this shooting had happened until the next day. So apparently, it was not a talk of dinner conversation. The next day, when Houston police released surveillance images of the couple and said, hey, we're wanted for questioning. And the woman said, oh, wait a second, that's me. Okay, so maybe something happened here. According to documents, the date continued hours into the evening. Unclear whether or not he was able to finish his evening off with a second kind of bang. She interviewed the police on April the 13th. She wanted to do the right thing, wanted to make sure she came forward and told the police what she knew. Authorities issued the warrant for the arrest. On April 15th, he was arrested in Corpus Christi area, brought back to Houston, where he was booked into jail on Tuesday. Thus, that brings us to the end of this story about a man out on a date with a woman who went to park near the restaurant and was told by a person, you need to pay to park here. He paid, but unfortunately, it turned out he was being scammed. He decided to respond to this by shooting the person involved and is now being charged with murder. So I don't know what that, and then apparently had no problems wanting to continue his date. He continued his date, and then the date went on for several more hours. Unclear how it ultimately resolved. So this is a story of a person in Houston who responded to being scammed out of $40 with more aggression than is required, but that's how that story ended. And that brings us to the end of discussion of this tale.